Genesis chapter 1 is not merely a story about the beginning of the world, but a theological proclamation about how God wants us to understand the world and humanity. The main concern of this chapter is not how everything was made, but rather who rules, what is good, and who human beings are. First, Genesis 1 proclaims intention rather than accident. The repeated phrase, "and God said," "and it was so," declares that the world did not come into being by chaos or chance, but through God's deliberate will and purpose. This means that human life, too, is not a random sequence of events, but exists within God's intention. The world is not meaningless space, but a place saturated with God's purpose. Second, Genesis 1 reveals God as a God of order. Light is separated from darkness, waters above from waters below, sea from land, day from night. God does not leave chaos as it is. He separates, establishes, and names. This shows that God does not abandon disorder, and that the confusion within human life can also be restored within God's order. Order is not oppression, it is the structure that sustains life. Third, the repeated declaration "God saw that it was good" teaches the fundamental goodness of creation. Matter is not evil, and the world was already declared good before the fall. This rejects the idea that only the spiritual is holy, while the physical is corrupt. God created the visible, tangible world as good, and he regards human life itself as precious. Fourth, the creation of humanity is the climax of Genesis 1. Human beings are created in the image of God. This does not refer to physical resemblance, but to representation, relational capacity, and responsibility. Humans are created to represent God by caring for and governing creation, and at the same time to live in relationship with him. The command to rule is not a license for exploitation, but a mandate of stewardship. Fifth, the Sabbath is not an afterthought, but the completion of creation. By resting, God shows that creation does not exist for endless productivity. Human beings are not valuable because they constantly produce, but because they are created to rest in God. Existence comes before achievement. Ultimately, Genesis 1 asks not "how did the world begin?" but "to whom does this world belong, and how should humans live within it?" God brings order out of chaos, gives purpose to a seemingly meaningless world, and calls human beings, not as accidental creatures, but as honored partners. This chapter is both a record of creation and a theological declaration of human identity, and it remains God's first word that is still fully relevant to our lives today.